Hey guys, what is going on? Jurgen from ZurGrinoSports here, coming at you with the January 4th, 2021 edition of Raw Review. This week's show was okay. It wasn't bad in my opinion like a couple weeks ago where it was just really bad, but it wasn't too great either. It was kind of in a middle ground for me, because there were some things where I was like, okay, that's pretty good, and then there were some things where I'm like, oh god, why am I a wrestling fan right now? I don't want to be. So let's jump into it. We started off with a little Hulk Hogan thing at the start of the show, which I did not give a shit about. I don't want Hulk Hogan on my television 2021, even without all the fucking racial bullshit and him being a piece of shit and all that stuff as a human being. Even without all that stuff, brother, it's not the 80s. The 80s were fucking 30 years ago now, 40 years ago. Holy fuck. Holy fuck, time is going by fast, brother. Whoo! Oh no! Fucking 40 years ago. But yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's just his time has passed. I want to preface this by saying go watch Mustafa Ali's. I almost said it wrong. Sorry, brother. Mustafa Ali's Raw Talk promo. Basically, listen to what he said about Legends Night. That's my view. You know what I mean? Like, just fucking fuck off and leave the new guys to shine. But anyways, after that, the start of the proper parts of the show, we had a Miz TV. Miz and Morrison started off by promoting Legends Night and then putting themselves over, as you'd expect. And then they introduced their first guest of 2021, the New Day, who then flipped in on them and said that this is the first episode of New Day Talks. And Kofi's the host. They one little thing that I liked, the little detail, was Woods being like, "What the fuck?" Because you know how they have the little box with the WWE logo on the mic, and you know how when Miz holds it and he has Miz TV, he has it flipped so it makes the M with the WWE logo. Woods was looking at it, he's like, "What the fuck is this?" And he takes it off and turns it right side up, and then Kofi does as well. So I like that as a little detail of New Day doing that. Woods and Kofi, Kofi asks about New Year's resolutions as his first thing. And then Morrison excitedly talks about graduating from Hibachi school, I think he said. Investing in Ethereum, I think he said. And then taking a picture a day so he can make one of those cool montages at the end of the year. And Miz is not having it. Morrison's kind of into the New Day Talks idea, and he's like, oh yeah, okay, this is kind of cool. He's like kind of the wacky, goofy guy, and then Miz is just really serious, kind of like, oh yeah, y'all kind of disrespecting me and shit, brother. You know, why is that happening? And then every time Morrison would like indulge in New Day Talks, he'd be like, John, you're not helping right now. You're not helping. Don't play into it. Then Kofi asked, who would you take out to dinner from the Legends on Raw night? Morrison immediately answers Tatanka. And then before anything can happen, before a third question gets asked, Miz cuts off Kofi in an upset manner, prompting Teddy Long, holla 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 player, to come out and say Miz and Morrison are going to take on The Undertaker. Then Adam Pearce comes out, gets in his ear, he's like, hey, no, we can't do that, no. And he's like, oh, okay, my bad. Well, I got another solution, brother. Miz and Morrison versus a New Day in a tag team match. I loved it. Well, okay, so the New Day Talk stuff was okay. It made sense that New Day would do something like that. So the New Day side of it, I'm fine with, right? They're there to be goofy. They're there to have fun. They would do something like that where they mock him and, take over the show and whatever. That's fine. Miz being annoyed at it, that's fine. I don't really like what they're doing with Morrison, just because I think they could be doing so much more with Morrison. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't need to be this ultra serious guy, and he can be funny from time to time in this role that he's playing with Miz. It's just, I think they can do more with him. I think he's so talented in the ring. His promos have never been anything fantastic, really, but I think he just, they're not really using him to his strengths typically, or not typically, but particularly right now, you know what I mean? So I just, plus there were a couple weird things in the promo that were just kind of like, okay, yeah. It wasn't a bad promo for me, but it just wasn't anything special. It was just kind of all right. So that segment was all right. Then we get to the match. The match was good. I mean, Morrison's in there, Woods and New Day are in there, and Miz can hold his own with those top-level guys. So, I mean, the match was good given the time that they had. There was a spot where Morrison over-rotated on a monkey flip and landed on his stomach, and it looked incredible, just showcasing... I mean, like, yeah, it's one bump, and yeah, the more athletic guys are kind of expected to do those kind of bumps where you over rotate and flip on your stomach. It's visually very impressive. There was, to finish the match, Morrison tried to roll up Woods and then have his feet on the ropes to cheat to win. Kofi pushes him off, which leads to Woods getting himself into position to do a Shining Wizard and then pinning Morrison for the 1-2-3. I would complain that Morrison was taking the pin, but that's more of a personal thing. That's not a logic thing because, once again, like I said, I want them to do more with Morrison. I want them to take him kind of more seriously. So, personally, I wouldn't have wanted him to take the pin. You kind of gotta give New Day the win in a way because... you want them to look strong, but then again, like, I don't want New Day to fight Hurt Business for the tag titles again. We just saw that for a couple of months. So maybe they should have given Miz and Morrison the win. You know what I mean? Miz just got his Money in the Bank match. His confidence is going to be high now because he got it back, even though he lost last week to Grand Metalik. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So it's just... I probably would have preferred Miz and Morrison to win. But if that's the result they wanted to go with, personally, I wouldn't. I would have liked Miz to maybe take the pin, but it doesn't really make sense because they're not treating Morrison like I want him to be treated. So it's not just like a logic thing. It's not like, oh, you're completely void of logic here, you're messing up. It's just my personal preference. I would prefer them to take Morrison a bit more seriously. But it is what it is. Logically, though, they probably should be pushing Miz and Morrison as a tag team. If they're not going to do the thing where I said to have AJ challenge Miz for the Money in the Bank to get it on a serious top guy, because Miz in 2021, I'm sorry, brother, I like you a lot, but it's not 2016. Like, you're 5 years past your main event run due date, for me at least. So... it would make sense for me, at least, if they're not going to switch the Money in the Bank onto someone like AJ using that TLC stuff as a way to do that. Just put Miz and Morrison firmly in the tag division and just avert the potential of thinking of a cash-in. You know what I mean? Because, you know what? Maybe what they're going to do... this spoils the end of the show. Maybe I'll talk about it at the end. But maybe they're going to have Miz cash in a way where any fan will be grateful that he did it. So, yeah. But overall, the opening of the show was okay. You know what I mean? The match quality was good, I thought, for the time that they were allotted. Talented people were in the ring. The promo was okay, but yeah, maybe they should be pushing Miz and Morrison more as a serious tag team, but who knows, whatever. Then we go backstage, we get a Randy Orton backstage interview. Keep in mind, right, that they ended last week's show on the cliffhanger of a woman potentially being set on fire, and it took them about a half hour to get to the resolution of that. They started off the show with Hulk Hogan being like, "Hey, Hulk Hogan's on the phone, brother." And then they did Raw, New Day Talk / Miz TV, and then a whole ass match. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, we should probably let the people know if somebody got burned alive last week." Yeah, that's a good idea. I think they probably should have started the show with Randy, but that's not really a major concern. It's just something that I found a little bit funny. Randy was saying that the voices in his head told him to burn her, but he didn't. He says that, they say something in you changes after you face the Fiend, and he agrees with that because after facing the Fiend, something changed inside him. He showed restraint, and he hates himself for it, but he can use that hatred and channel it towards other people. Just imagine if he used the self-hatred he has onto somebody else. The interviewer asks him if he thinks the Fiend will actually come back, and he immediately is like, "I don't want to think about the Fiend tonight. Tonight, I want to go talk, have a talk with a friend, have a talk with some legends, and show them and remind them why I am the legend killer." So we had that going on. So you kind of knew what was going on for Randy tonight. He was going to go backstage and, vibe with some people that probably have no business being there in 2021. They showed a clip of Garza winning the 24/7 title on the TikTok New Year's Eve show that they did, I guess that they did. Then they had a backstage segment of Garza with Alicia Fox. Then he moves on to Mickey, who's talking to Slaughter and Tatanka. He gives Mickey a rose. Slaughter takes the rose, kind of like smells it kind of weird, and he's like, "Maggot," and then Garza fucks off. So when I heard that they were going to treat Garza seriously and Vince really liked him, I got kind of excited. Garza has kind of like an Eddie Guerrero quality to him where he's good in the ring and he's got a good character base, right? Now, if he can take the ball and run with it like Eddie did, that's something that remains to be seen, at least on the main stage. I don't know what he's done outside of WWE too much. I saw him in TNA a bit when he was there, but not really that much. But basically, he's got the foundation. It's just whether or not in a big company like WWE, if he can get the backing behind him and then perform himself. He seems like a very talented guy in this business. My issue is, if it's true that you're taking him seriously and you're going to push him and all that stuff, why are you putting him in the division that is a black hole of any potential? Yes, R-Truth is funny, right? I'll give that to WWE and to R-Truth especially, because R-Truth's just a funny guy. He gets comedy wrestling right most of the time. Why are you pretty much wasting his potential in the 24/7 title? Garza didn't need that shit at all. And honestly, if you're taking somebody seriously, they shouldn't have that shit anywhere near them. The 24/7 title, at the start, it could have been something with people winning it on, I think R-Truth won it from Jinder or vice versa on like a golf court or something. You had some inventive stuff like that kind of going on. Not inventive, but creative stuff, I guess, maybe, which is kind of saying the same thing, so I'm an idiot. But, you have so much that you could be doing with that title, but it's just the fodder part of the show, Oh, Raw's 3 hours, let's fill out some time with the jobbers chasing the champion. Maybe the champion loses at the beginning of the night and he sneaks it back at the end of the night kind of thing. That's what they do, rinse and repeat, whatever. Why are you putting somebody that you have high hopes for in that division or giving them that title? It's just, you're wasting their time, for me personally. So I don't know. Hopefully it's not a long-term thing, but that remains to be seen. Hopefully they actually take Garza seriously, but it is what it is. Then we had AJ versus Elias with no build to it. It just kind of happened again 2 weeks in a row for no reason, which I didn't really understand. But AJ wins with a Styles Clash, which I thought was interesting. He typically doesn't really win with that too often. After the match, though, Riker took a guitar and tried to attack AJ post-match with Omos kicking the guitar to pieces. They were saying his name differently on commentary, saying Amos. So, like, I don't know if they're like, hey, we want to change his name now, or because I wasn't really paying attention. All I heard was Joe say that AJ hasn't been able to pronounce a name properly in his entire life, right? Because I think I was looking at Twitter or something when the entrances were being made, and then I heard that. I'm like, what are they talking about? And then they started saying Amos throughout the match. I'm like, was this like a long-term thing where they meant to say his name wrong, or are they like, almost doesn't have what we want it to have, let's try Amos? Like, I'm not really sure what's going on with his name. I'm gonna call him Omos, and I guess unless they say Amos again next week. Amos, whatever. Omos kicks the fucking guitar to shreds, which was pretty impressive. The dude, the worry for me, and I think a lot of people, typically when you see a guy that big, and they're positioning him to do something pretty substantial, because they've paired him with AJ, and AJ's a top guy, so they're pairing him with a top guy to get that into your head that he's in that top guy, that category, because they're pairing him with AJ. Typically, when you have a guy that big, your biggest concern is, okay, can he go? Or is he another Vince McMahon? He's going to stink up the place. No athleticism, no nothing, just a size guy. But I think Omos has shown, or Amos, whatever, like that kick showed a fair bit of athleticism with him, which kind of eases those concerns, because then you're like, okay, if he can kick that quickly and that high and shit like that, maybe he can do other shit really athletic, and maybe he can put on good matches instead of that typical WWE, hey, this guy can barely walk, but he's big, so we're gonna book him like an unstoppable monster. Great Khali. You know what I mean? So, Great Khali fucking pinned Undertaker with a foot on his chest at Judgment Day 2006, man. Can you clean, brother. Oh my god, let's move on. The match itself was okay. It wasn't anything like last week. Last week they had their match, right? I think so. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because they had that awful fucking street fight thing the week before on that awful show. Yeah. So the match itself wasn't as good as last week, because last week they had a lot of time. You know what I mean? It was a full match pretty much. This week it was more of a TV match. Elias got his stuff in, and then AJ comes out on top. It was a decent match, nothing special, but it wasn't a bad match, I don't think. AJ winning again is the right thing. It's just I don't understand the logic behind. Okay, that is an alarm on my phone. Apologies. I woke up before my alarm today and was like, hey, let's record this shit. So real quick, before we keep going, I'm going to turn off the other ones, because I am somebody who needs 20 alarms in the space of 10 seconds to wake up. So there we go. Those are all turned off. Okay, apologies for my unprofessionalism. Fantastic. I was so confused, man. I was hearing it. I'm like, what the fuck is making that noise? And I'm like, oh, right. I set an alarm. Okay. Let's continue. I know they're trying to set up Riker and Omos. Maybe Omos and Riker is Omos' first match, and he gets a win against Riker and stuff like that, which I have no problems with. Riker doesn't really need to be pushed, because he's a garbage human being. But why would you do AJ and Elias again? You know what I mean? It's just, there's no reason. Also, they have a heel versus heel thing going on, unless they're trying to make AJ face. But I don't really get that sense. I don't know. Logically, it's kind of weird, but I mean, the match quality itself was fine. I liked seeing Omos show some athleticism. AJ gets a win, fundamentally it worked. It's just I don't understand why it happened, so whatever. I think so they had a backstage thing with Charlotte after that where she declared for the Rumble. The interviewer, for some reason, asked her what advice she'd give to people for the Royal Rumble having won it, as if she was one of the returning legends. She's like, hey, yeah, you've been retired for years. What advice would you give to people, who are going to be in the Rumble? It's like, bitch, fam, bruh, She's an active competitor. Why is she going to give people advice? She's going to obviously declare herself for the Rumble. Before we move on, I don't like this declaring yourself for the Rumble thing. Because logically, a guy like Mojo Rawley could declare for the Rumble before a guy like AJ Styles, and then you have Mojo Rawley in the Rumble, but not AJ Styles. I don't like this declare for the Rumble stuff. You know what I mean? I like when they have qualifiers and then leave a bunch of spots, whatever, empty, and then just have some surprise entrances that are returns and one-offs, and then have some surprise entrances that are part of the show. You know what I mean? Just management picked people that they think would be the best fit for the Rumble. I really don't like this I'm declaring for the Royal Rumble stuff, because it just means anybody could do it. You could have an performance center guy just kind of like walk through on Raw logically and just be like, hey, I know I don't go here, but I'm going to declare for the Rumble because that's something that you can do. And then it's just kind of like, oh, okay, he declared for the Rumble. Also, do they still have that 15 and 15 allotment, or like maybe 10, 10, and 10 with NXT, or I don't know how many spots NXT gets, but do they still have the even split, or do they just kind of like toss people in there these days? I don't even know, because before it was like a certified thing. You get 15 for Raw, 15 for SmackDown in like the Ruthless Aggression era. I'm saying. Anyways, I don't like the declaring for the Rumble shit. I really don't. I think it cheapens it a bit, but it is what it is. It's not a major deal. It's just a personal preference thing, probably. I don't know if you guys think that as well. If you do, let me know down in the comments. But yeah. Just as well as anything, man. If you disagree or really agree with me on something, always, brother, leave it in the comments. I love to hear from what you guys think as well. So then we moved on to a Riddle and Big Show backstage thing, which led into a Randy and Big Show backstage thing. Riddle was just talking about just some bullshit with Big Show, and he's like, okay, I gotta go prepare for my match with Lashley, and stuff like that. And then Randy comes in, kind of antagonizes Big Show, saying, oh, let's go to the ring right now. You can't because I ended your career, this and that, trying to antagonize Big Show. Big Show's like, I'm not falling for your mind games, and Randy just kind of runs down Big Show, and then that's that segment. Then we had Charlotte with Ric Flair, who accompanied her to the ring, and Asuka versus Lacey and Payton. I think they didn't have this last week, right? They had this 2 weeks ago. They either had it last week or the week before, and I got mad that Payton was the one who took the fall. I wasn't mad that Charlotte and Asuka won. I was mad that Payton specifically took the fall, because I'm not too high on Lacey Evans, but I'm pretty high on Payton, so yeah. Lacey was kind of like flirting with Rick at some point in the match, doing like the strut kind of thing, and then Charlotte slaps the shit out of Lacey and then stares at her dad like, are you serious, bro? Like, you're fucking like 100 years old. Like, are you fucking... Like, calm down, brother. Like, I don't even think that shit works down there no more at your age, brother. You gotta chill. And then the commentary were putting over how Lacey was like overly excited in the back to meet and talk to Ric Flair and stuff like that. I think Charlotte did her first normal moonsault ever in her career. Maybe. Because she laid Lacey and Payton side by side and then did a moonsault where she doesn't land on her feet. Because if you think about it, every time Charlotte's done a moonsault before this, unless I missed something in the year off or so that I took off of watching wrestling, unless I missed something there, she's always done a moonsault either inside or to the outside where people were standing, and she over-rotates, lands on her feet, and then rolls onto her back. She's never done one where she lands on her stomach that I've seen personally, because again, I took that year off. So maybe within that year off where I wasn't watching wrestling at all, maybe she started doing that. I don't know. But for me, that was the first moonsault I've ever seen her do where she lands on her stomach onto the opponent. You know what I mean? And it looked kind of awkward because it looked like her legs were gonna go somewhere, and then it's not like she stopped on the mat. It's like her legs were, if there was no mat there, her legs would have gone through the mat. You know what I mean? Through that space. but the mat kind of like stopped her legs. It didn't really, I don't know if she's really comfortable doing that kind of moonsault, because I remembered like every time she would do the moonsault, she would land on her feet. I'm like, okay, maybe that's the only way she's like comfortable doing it, or the only way she knows how to do it kind of thing. And she's not really particularly comfortable taking that bump onto her stomach and landing on her knees and stuff onto the mat kind of thing for the normal moonsault, but I don't know. I thought it was cool. It was a cool spot to do a moonsault on two people as well, because she's a taller person, so she can land on both people pretty substantially. So that was a cool spot. Then they had a segment where Lacey grabs Rick by the tie, I think, and then is about to kiss her, and then Charlotte kind of boofs her. And then they had a spot where Rick trips up Charlotte, causing Payton to get a pinfall, like a roll-up pin on Charlotte for the win. I'm happy that they gave Payton a fairly substantial pin, even though it wasn't a clean win. It was Payton pinning a top star in the division, so that's good. That makes Payton look pretty good, regardless of how it happens. After that, Lacey runs over, kisses Ric Flair on the cheek really excitedly, and then her and Payton celebrate. Asuka at this point has kind of fucked off completely from screen, and then we get Charlotte coming out to ringside, getting all intense in Rick's face, saying, "Stay out of my business, go away," and then Rick kind of like sheepishly goes up the ramp, kind of like, "Oh, okay, I fucked up." I don't know if the intention was Rick accidentally trips her up, because it looked very intentional. So I don't know if Rick was maybe supposed to make it look accidental and then sell it was accidental, but he was kind of like cheesing a bit when it happened and stuff. So I don't know if it was meant to be like, "Hey, I was about to get a kiss from an attractive woman, daughter, who is probably that woman's age or maybe a bit younger. I don't know Lacey's age or Charlotte's age, but hey, daughter, I was about to get a kiss from an attractive lady around your age, and you stopped that from happening for some reason." I don't know why. Maybe because I'm 100 years old and that should not be happening. But you know what I mean? Like, maybe it was like, "Hey, I tripped you up because you prevented me from getting a kiss from a pretty lady." Maybe that's what they were going for, but it kind of by commentary, it kind of sounded like they were going for the accidental trip. I don't really know what it was. It would have made sense, honestly, if it was him tripping her up as kind of like a, cheeky way of getting back at her from stopping him from getting some sugar. Why did I use that phrase in 2121? He was going to get a big old kiss on the lips from Lacey Evans, but Charlotte prevented it. So maybe that was him being like, "Hey, fuck you, dude," in a joking way, and then it just ended up being the end of the match. I don't know if that was the intention. That's fine, because that makes sense for Ric Flair. That's whatever. If it was him accidentally doing it, he messed it up in the way he executed it, and it doesn't really make sense, because why would he try and trip up somebody else on the team that they're trying to kiss him? And his whole thing is, "Hey, I pulled, brother. I'm Ric Flair, brother. 2,000 women," or it was legitimately over 1,000 women that he slept with, which is fucking insane. This is fucking genuinely just mind-boggling why you would do that, but it is what it is. So yeah, that was fine. I mean, Charlotte and Asuka got good offense in the ring. There was one spot where Charlotte did natural selection to Payton where it was botched. I don't know if it was maybe a communication thing, a timing thing. I don't know if it would have been Charlotte's fault or Payton's fault. But Charlotte goes for the natural selection after Asuka does like a code breaker or something. And Charlotte goes. I don't know if she maybe didn't touch her head or arm or whatever she does heavily enough to let her know she was there, because Charlotte goes, she flips over, and then Payton kind of realizes, "Oh, Charlotte flipped over, I didn't go with her," and then she just kind of like face plants on the mat, delayed, and then just kind of like stays there. So I don't know if that was maybe a communication thing, timing thing, or whatever. It didn't really look too good, but what are you going to do? It's a botch, brother. It happens. I don't know whose fault it would have been, but somebody messed up there, and then that was botched, but it is what it is. Match itself was fine. Probably too short to have anything too special there in the match, but I mean, the match itself was fine. I'm a fan of Payton getting a win, albeit dirty win, but still a win. So yeah, that one was fine. Then you had a Drew and Sheamus backstage thing where Hogan and what the fuck is his last name? The megaphone guy, the mouth from the south, whatever his fucking last name is. I don't really care. It's 2021. Hogan and stuff come back. Sheamus was like, hey, after Keith Lee got in the way of setting up you and I, brother, for the fucking championship, this dream match, how about you give him an extra Claymore, brother, for me? He's like, and then Drew's like, I will, ... do whatever it takes to win the match. So my thing with Drew and his promos is he can cut very good promos. It's just sometimes he's a bit corny with his promos. You know what I mean? So it's when you do something like that, it doesn't really. It's too corny for me. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I will do whatever it like. You're not really. Nobody expects you to turn heel with Sheamus. So I don't know why you're trying to like tease that with, oh yeah, I'll give him an extra kick for you. Nah, I won't. I'm just doing whatever it takes to win the match, brother. I'm a white meat baby face. Like, why? I don't know. The promo wasn't great. Then Hulk Hogan comes in and they do this Clay Maniacs and Claymore Maniacs or something like that with the Hulkamaniacs thing and a Hulk Hogan promo. An 80s Hulk Hogan promo in 2021. Garbage. This segment, take it in the fucking trash, set it on fire, throw it out into the fucking space. Garbage. Moving on. Absolutely awful segment. Nobody really looked good from it. They called Sheamus the mouth of the south of Ireland because Hogan told Drew that he reminds him of him, which, by the way, not a good thing. And then Drew's like, oh, Sheamus reminds me of Jimmy. And awful segment. Just trash. Throw it in the trash. Be done with it. Awful segment. Garbage. Hulk Hogan promo in 2021. Why? Nobody cares. Fuck off. Okay. Then we had Riddle versus Lashley. Lashley hands his belt to the ringside crew or whatever, maybe to MVP. I wasn't really... it was off camera kind of thing. Maybe he hands it to MVP and then MVP gives it to somebody, or maybe MVP holds it. I don't really know. But regardless, while Lashley is turned around trying to get the title off, Riddle attacks him before the bell rings, gets some offense off, and then they separate by the ref. And then he's like, hey, Lashley, you good to start? And then Lashley starts, whatever. I really like this match. I thought the action itself, the match was good. It showed Riddle doing some more technical wrestling stuff, like some pretty smart reversals, some pretty smart transitions, stuff like that. It made Lashley still look really strong. And then we get to the finish, which was pretty divisive on Twitter. A lot of people disliked the finish. A lot of people, I don't even know if I saw people liking the finish, to be honest, but a lot of people disliked the finish. And the finish was Lashley gets Riddle in the Hurt Lock. Riddle walks to the ropes, puts his feet on the ropes, springboards off. The ref's nearby, so the ref ducks under. Riddle goes over the ref. While the ref is ducked under and turned around, Riddle taps. Lashley lets go of the Hurt Lock, starts celebrating. MVP starts celebrating on the apron. The ref's like, what are you doing? Get down off the apron. MVP's like, well, what do you mean he won? Lashley's like, well, yeah, what are you talking about? I just won the match. Riddle comes, rolls him up, 1, 2, 3, leaves the ring. Lashley takes a loss. Now, I saw people shitting on this finish. I don't think it's that bad. Lashley hasn't lost. I saw on Twitter, Lashley hasn't been pinned or something since June, since that WWE title match with Drew, or something with Drew. So the last time Lashley had been pinned was against Drew McIntyre, 8 months ago, however long ago that was? 6 months ago? Right? 6 months ago, June, yeah. Wow, I don't know my months, brother, but I got a fucking university degree. Education system is set up perfectly, brother. Idiots like me can coast on by. But so he hasn't taken a pinfall loss since June. Half a year has gone by since he's lost, so he's been booked strong, right? So there's that. And obviously they want to set up the title match for the pay-per-view, pretty much, is what they want to do. And obviously, it's kind of wrestling knowledge, just common sense. If you pin the champion in a non-champion match, you earn a title shot, right? You beat the champion, the title wasn't on the line, then you should get a shot at the title to see if you can do it again, right? It's just common logic, right? So it's fine. Now, the way that this match comes about is fine for me. You know, Riddle attacked Lashley at the end of the last match. Lashley, being a dominant heel, would want to, you know, get retribution and beat the shit out of Riddle. So it makes sense why the match is happening, right? That makes sense going in. Riddle got pre-match momentum on Lashley, and Lashley technically won the match. It just wasn't seen, so Riddle got a sneaky non-clean win. Lashley's still protected. You know, even though he has that pinfall loss on his record, wrestling is deeper than just a win-loss record. You can't just look at a win-loss record and be like, oh, okay, they're shit or they're good. Because wrestling is, you know, there's story to it. There's outside factors to it. You can still look strong in a loss, like Jeff Hardy in 2002 in that ladder match. Jeff Hardy came out looking like a superstar. He got a loss on his record against Undertaker, right? If they want to make sure that Riddle is credible, so they made Riddle look credible throughout the match. They still kept Lashley strong by having him technically win the match, but Riddle gets a roll-up, causing a title match in the future, presumably, right? I'm hoping they extend it to the pay-per-view. I'm hoping they don't do this bullshit where, like, they do, you know what I mean? Because they got a lot of time until the pay-per-view, though. That's the only issue, but we'll see what they do with it. If they try and do a thing where it's a non-title again and Lashley wins again, or Riddle wins again, I'm not going to like that. But this one-off loss with all this caveat of pre-match momentum that was dirty, and granted, a face is getting this heel heat on the heel, but what are you going to do? When you have a monster heel like Lashley, you kind of have, you know what I mean? Granted, they could have had like a number one contenders match or a little mini tournament or a fatal four-way or something, you know? But Lashley and Riddle have already been intertwined with Riddle and MVP dating back a couple months and all that stuff. So they're already intertwined. They already in each other's business. So it just makes sense to have that match. Whatever. I don't think this is that bad as people on Twitter made it out to be. You know what I mean? It's not. It goes back to people being like, oh, 50-50 booking. Nobody gets over. It's like, well, I mean, if you actually pay attention and watch the matches, people can get over. You know what I mean? You can get over in a loss, and a win can just set up that loss that you get over in. Both people can get over in the same match. So the way you get there, if it makes sense and the end justifies the means, kind of thing. You know, I don't know. It's not like ideal, but I don't see a big problem with it like a lot of people on Twitter did. Because what's the alternative? Have Riddle fight who in a number one contender match? You know what I mean? The fucking. He's already in Lashley's business. He's been in the Hurt Business, you know, for months. Since he started with fucking MVP and calling him bro and saying, "Aw," when MVP said I'm not your bro, and he almost made MVP legit fucking start laughing, and that was great. You know what I mean? So it's just the match itself was good. Lashley looked dominant. Riddle looked like a smart technician. Riddle got pre-match momentum, which, you know, protects Lashley even more. And then he got a roll-up after tapping out, which protects Lashley. But it sets up a title match in the future. So it's just, a lot of people really disliked it. I don't think the same way. I think it's fine. You know what I mean? Granted, where they go with it can retroactively change my opinion. Like, again, if they do next week singles non-title again and then Riddle wins again, then it's kind of like, okay, 2 losses in a row, you're making Bobby look foolish, whatever. Anybody can get beat at any time. That's the whole point of competition. So, and then people always want unpredictability and stuff, and it's, I don't know. I think people are overreacting on Twitter, pretty much, which, it's Twitter. What do you expect? But yeah, so I don't think that's the end of the world, like people have been saying on Twitter that I've seen. I think it's fine. I think both guys looked good. You know, Lashley doesn't look foolish or any. Okay, there is logic missing there because Lashley typically holds in the Hurt Lock far past when people tap. And then he let it go as soon as Riddle tapped. So that doesn't really make sense. I will give you that. But maybe they cut a promo next week and he's like, hey, you know what? I let go of the shit too early. You know, I usually wrench it in even after they tap just to really put it in. And you know what? Next time when I get it on you, Riddle, I'm not letting go until your body's limp. You know what I mean? Or something like that. And then put it over kind of thing is like, oh, Lashley made a mistake. Whatever. I don't know. It depends on how they do this. Then they had backstage Ricochet and Mark Henry. Mark Henry giving Ricochet advice about his stuff with Retribution, who were not on the show, by the way, so whatever. Then Randy shows up, antagonizes Mark Henry, makes fun of him for being on a scooter to walk. Talks about how, he wants to reminisce back to the days of the Hall of Pain and saying how he owes Mark Henry a lot of receipts, and maybe he comes good on them tonight, or maybe he lets him off with a warning, gives him a free ride kind of thing by letting him paddle away on his little scooter kind of thing. Once again, just putting over Randy being a big old fucking dick. Then you had a backstage thing with Lashley and MVP with like a interview. There we go. Don't know why I was looking for that word so long. MVP says Lashley got robbed. Lashley very intensely says he's going to punish Riddle's punk ass. So they're obviously setting up more for them, which makes sense. Then you had Mandy versus Shayna. Shayna comes out and puts in the clutch on Mandy while she's making her entrance. Doesn't even wait for her own entrance. During Mandy's entrance, she comes down and puts the clutch on her, beats her up outside the ring a little bit, gets in the ring, and is like, hey, come in here. Let's do it. Dana comes down, checks on Mandy. She's like, why are you doing this to her, huh? Why are you doing this to her, huh? And then she gets in the ring in just streetwear, not even her wrestling attire. And then she's like, okay, you know what? Get in here, brother. Let's fucking fight. Shayna goes in. Very, very quick match. Shayna gets the clutch in on Dana. Dana rolls it into a pin and gets the 1-2-3, but Shayna keeps it locked in even after the pin, putting the shit in. Mandy comes in to rescue by hitting Shayna with a knee, and then they toss her out of the ring. I don't like this. I don't like this. Shayna is meant to look dominant, right? At least that's what I got the impression of last week. I thought, okay, they're going to give her a push, maybe give her the Rumble, who knows? But then again, they're going to give Charlotte the Rumble because first two-time Women's Rumble winner, Charlotte Flair, she needs to be pushed to the moon. She hasn't already. I don't like a streetwear, not warmed up Dana Brooke beating Shayna Baszler within a minute or however long it was. I don't like that at all. If they would have had Dana like accompanying Mandy and then, but then the pre-match shit wouldn't have worked. I would have preferred something else. This gets kind of like a flat response from me. Granted, I do want Dana and Mandy to look strong because I think Dana's really improved over the years, and I think Mandy has a little bit of potential there. It's just maybe do it a different way. Maybe do it like fend off the attack. Beforehand, don't let Mandy actually get beat by the attack. Have Mandy maybe come out on top in the attack, the clutch gets in, but guess what? She like fucking rolls out of it, trips her out of it, whatever, makes Shayna, fall and eat shit on the outside, gets in the ring, come in, bitch, you thought you could get me, but you couldn't, and then Shayna's pissed off, and then have Shayna maybe go in, and then fucking kill her. You know what I mean? So, like, Mandy shows that she can defend herself on the outside, but then Shayna still looks strong because she fucking wins the match, So, I don't know. I didn't really like it too much. It's not the end of the world, but I would have preferred something different. Yeah. Then you had IRS, Molly, and Rick talking backstage. Randy comes in. IRS and Molly are like, "Oh boy, we're gonna leave you to your shit, brother." Molly Holly, I guess. I don't know if I just said Molly or Molly Holly already, but if I did only say Molly, it is Molly Holly, who I think is a bit underrated in wrestling history. But that's a topic for a different time. Randy antagonizes Rick. He talks about how Rick taught him everything he knows, but how Rick isn't the same man, and he's still showing up to try and seem relevant and stuff, because, his daughter's 10 times the competitor he ever was. Randy doesn't see the person who taught him everything he knows. He sees just an old man kind of thing, and then he walks away. So, yeah, he starts it off by asking Rick if he wants to accompany him to the ring for his match with Jeff Hardy tonight, which, Rick obviously is like, nah, I'm good, bruh. Then we had Randy versus Jeff. Solid match, solid match. They got good time. Both are great workers. What do you expect? It's going to be a good match. The fucking earlobe spot makes me cringe every goddamn time I see it. So congrats, Randy and Jeff, because you're getting you're eliciting the reaction that you want of people going, "Oh God, why are you doing that?" Because he fucking puts his fingers in there and then he tears them and it looks like the skin's gonna rip. It's like, I don't want my earlobe fucking skin to rip, brother. That looks like it hurts. And oh my fucking God, it's an awful fucking spot to watch. Like, I just feel so uncomfortable, which means it's an incredible spot because, again, they're getting the reaction that they want. So, yeah. The match itself was fine. The finish was a twist of fate being turned into an RKO kind of thing. Rotate for the twist of fate. Over rotate because Randy wasn't there for the like cutter part of the twist of fate, and then they roll through. Randy hits an RKO after they both roll through. 1, 2, 3. Randy gets a win. He's got to look strong. And again, Jeff doesn't need to get wins, right now. And I think with Jeff, they're trying, because Jeff had mentioned, I think he confirmed that he's going to get No More Words back, but they're waiting for a crowd to bring back No More Words so we can hear that huge pop when he has No More Words again. So I think maybe they're just kind of biding time with Jeff to do something with Jeff. I think they might give him one final big program, maybe Intercontinental or U.S. title or world title or something. I don't know if I'd like to see a world title, but also it's Jeff, so maybe give him like a quick 1 month run with the title to, as a thank you kind of thing. But then again, the title's not there for like a swan song. It's there to represent something. Maybe if Riddle wins the U.S. title off Lashley and then they go on with Lashley to maybe be WWE champion or something. Maybe have him and Riddle, because they started the Hardy Bros thing, maybe have him be like, "Hey, Riddle, I'm getting near the end of my career. I'd love one last chance to hold some championship gold. How about a friendly competition for the gold or something?" And then have Jeff win, and then you could have Riddle win it back as a face, just clean, or if you wanted to turn Riddle heel, you could do that and whatever. So you have options, but I think maybe... So basically what I'm saying in my fucking convoluted, fucking long-ass, overdrawn way that I typically do is Jeff doesn't really need to look strong now. He's a certified top guy just based on his career. I think they're waiting until crowds to do something with Jeff because they want to wait for crowds for No More Words. So, I think it's just like a hand in hand. Okay, crowds are going to be back. We're going to get No More Words back. He's going to have a lot of fanfare because of No More Words. Let's give him something then. But right now, he can put people over. Randy needs to look strong because he's doing a thing with a fucking supernatural human being. Not a human being. A supernatural being who's going to come back from being lit on fire. So he needs to look strong. You know what I mean? So Randy needed to win. Jeff doesn't need to win. So yeah, it was fine. The match itself was good. They had that earlobe spot, which makes me cringe. Then you had a Lucha House Party and Melina backstage thing, which was what happened before commercial. And then when we came back from commercial, we got Cedric and Shelton versus the Lucha House Party. Her Business versus Lucha House Party. MVP was on commentary for this. There was a pre-match promo thing by the Lucha Brothers. Did I write down Lucha Brothers? I wrote down Lucha Brothers, brother. Wow, the Lucha House Party pre-match promo. I wish Kalisto was still with them. I don't know why they split them up in the draft, but whatever. Lindsay had like a Raptors themed, like that purple Toronto Raptors jersey. You know what I mean? That fucking dope one with the dinosaur on it and shit. He had one of those kind of themed, like tank top jersey kind of thing going on with his own branding. Clean. It looked clean. It looked fire, brother. You had moments in the match where Cedric would tag in and be like, "Oh, fuck you, Shelton, I got this," and then Shelton would be like, well, "Why?" And then at one point, Cedric tags in, and then Shelton's like, "What are you doing? Why are you tagging in?" And then Shelton tags in after Cedric tagged in, and then they kind of get in each other's face kind of thing, which leads to Lindsay pinning Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin really sold the shock and defeat really well. He had a really great facial expression, so I thought I'd put that across. MVP was fucking pissed on commentary, so he really put over how pissed off he was. He says, "Are you guys embarrassed? Because you got to be embarrassed." He says, we got to win, blah, 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 blah. And then Cedric talks about how, like, he's got a winning mentality kind of thing. He's got that winning shit. And then MVP brings up, and he's like, "I don't know what Shelton's got." And then the MVP's like, "We win as a team." And then Cedric's like, "Yeah, whatever." And then storms off, kind of annoyed. Shelton goes to chase him. Shelton's like, "Calm down." Or MVP tells Shelton, "Calm down. We're good. Don't worry about it." Kind of thing. So they're building up that tension even more with a tangible result of that tension now there. They've lost a match with that. Lucha House Party, all members of Lucha House Party lost a match tonight, which I don't know how I feel, but at the same time, they've been booked pretty strong. I'm assuming they'll bounce back next week kind of thing and look strong again. I hope this is a misdirection with Cedric. I don't want them to pull the trigger on Cedric yet. I want Hurt Business to last in past Mania. Because I think it's maybe the best thing on... Not maybe. I think the Hurt Business is probably the best thing going on Raw right now. So it'd be a shame if they pulled the trigger too early on the turn with Cedric and with Shelton. You know what I mean? That would be a shame. I think they should hold the tag titles for a long time. I think that they should not lose the tag titles anytime soon, which is just a rewording of what I said prior. But yeah, I hope it's just a redirect. I hope they get them back on track and show like, "Oh, see, nothing can get in between us. We're the Hurt Business." You know what I mean? And kind of thing. So I really hope they don't pull the trigger too soon on the Cedric and Shelton stuff, which they're teasing right now. I don't know. Just Vince, just keep them together, man. You don't gotta break up tag teams every week. Like, just chill, brother. Tag team wrestling is fine. Just chill. Let people look good, brother. Then we had a backstage thing. I think, hold on, let me look at my page just to make sure. Yeah, okay. Then we had a backstage thing with Tori, Nikki Cross talking, and then Angel Garza comes up, asks Tori if he can give her this rose. Tori's like, "Yeah, I'm talking, brother. I'm having a conversation. What you want?" And he's like, "Yeah, but like, trying to smash though." And then Tori's like, "You know what? I got Cardi B here. I got this person here. I got that person here." And they're just down that door. And then Angel's like, "Ooh, Cardi B. Hell yeah." Garza says Cardi B really, really funny, I think. Because he doesn't say Cardi B. He's like, oh, fuck. I don't even remember how he said it. But he said it really in a funny way, which I enjoyed. And He walks into the room. It's kind of dark with red lighting. Boogeyman pops up. I'm the Boogeyman, and I'm coming to get ya. Angel is scared, backs up out of the room. Rolled up by R-Truth. 1, 2, 3. R-Truth gets the 24/7 title back after he's scared by Boogeyman. Then, while the camera, R-Truth, Tori, and Nikki go celebrate or whatever, camera pans down to Garza, pans back up as footsteps come into frame. It's Ron Simmons. Damn. And then that's the segment. Once again, if you're serious about Garza, don't do this shit with him. Do it with anybody else on the roster. Not anybody else on the roster. Hold on. Do it with anybody else on the roster who you don't give a shit about. You doing this with Garza gives me the impression that you don't give a shit about Garza. So please don't. If WWE are serious about liking Garza, don't do this shit with him. If that was a false report or if their opinions have changed since then you shit out of luck, Garza. Sorry, brother. But yeah. Cardi B on Twitter afterwards was like, why is everybody tagging me in WWE stuff? What happened? So I thought that was kind of funny. Then we had Drew versus Keith. So here, my thing with Drew versus Keith is, in principle, going in, I was optimistic about it because I was like, you know what? WWE did Legends Night. Vince did what he always does. Ratings are low. Bring back the old stars instead of building up new ones. That's fine, right? I was mad at that, but I'm like, whatever. It's happening. It's going to be a mediocre show. We're just going to have to accept it. We got a good show last week, which means we're going to get mediocre to trash for the next 2 months, and then we'll get another good show in a bit on Raw. But I was thinking going into the match, you've got Legends Night. All the old heads and the casuals will be like, oh, Hulk Hogan on the wrestling? Let me tune in. And then you have this hard-hitting main event with these two big, beefy boys going at it who can go. You're bringing eyes onto these new stars, right? Because, yeah, you have Legends Night, whatever. It'll boost the ratings a tiny bit. But you're main eventing with this match of new guys. So, in principle, you're putting eyes on these new guys. You're trying to get people on board with Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre. Specifically Drew, because spoiler alert, he wins the match. They had all the legends on the stage for Keith's entrance, and then they just sat on chairs at the stage watching, like this was like some fucking blood sport, and they were like royalty watching people fight to the death for them in the Coliseum, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. They had this moment where Keith was powerbombed through the announce table, which looked painful because it looked like Drew kind of couldn't carry him properly, so he had to release him a bit early. So Keith landed on the edge of the table, on like the corner of the table, which looked very, very painful. There was a Keith Lee Spanish fly off the top rope to Drew, which was fucking incredible. The finish itself was cool. I thought Drew goes for the Claymore. Keith catches the Claymore, which leaves Drew on his back with his leg in Keith's hands. Keith then goes down, picks him up for the Spirit Bomb from the ground, lifts him up all the way. Drew shimmies his way off, shoots off the ropes, ducks underneath, hits the ropes again, and then boom, Claymore 1, 2, 3. They were given time. It was a very good match. I very much enjoyed the match. The match itself was very good. Drew wins. Drew gets the mic to cut a promo for Keith, and then Goldberg's music hits. I don't know if that was intended, that he was supposed to get interrupted by Goldberg, or if they overran the show and they didn't want to do an actual overrun, even though I'm pretty sure they're given that 5-minute overrun as part of their segment, as part of their time slot on the network. Not the network, but on USA. So I don't know if they maybe mismanaged time and he was supposed to put over Keith with his promo, and then Goldberg was supposed to come out, or if they were just like, shit, we don't got time, fuck Keith Lee, let's get Goldberg over because Vince McMahon. God damn it, if that's the case, man, Keith, I'm sorry. Imagine you're supposed to be put over after the guy you just lost to. Even though you looked good in the performance, he's supposed to put you over in a promo after the match. And then they're like, yo, we don't got time. This 50-year-old dude, push him instead. Anyways, Goldberg's music hit, and I was like, oh, fuck. Not again. Not again. Maybe I'll play that fucking clip of of Jesse from Breaking Bad saying he can't keep getting away with it. Maybe I'll play that. It might get copyrighted, but maybe I'll play that. I don't know. We'll see. And then Goldberg comes out. He cuts a promo where he's fucking... Maybe you give Goldberg Randy's theme, because Goldberg was talking about how Drew's got like size and talent and athleticism and speed and all that, but he doesn't have respect. It's like, do you know who the fuck you're talking to? And he's like, oh, you don't respect all these people in the back. You said this and that. It's like, I don't think Drew McIntyre has ever said anything like that about those people. Like, he's not one of those guys who cut a promo saying, hey, the legends suck. He's literally the brand's top babyface. They're not going to have him go out and cut a promo saying, hey, these old guys suck. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. Excuse me. So, Goldberg fucking cut a promo against his fucking schizophrenic voices going on in his head or something like that. I don't fucking know what he was talking about. Awful fucking promo, but it's Goldberg, so what do you expect? And then he's like, hey, I'm not demanding shit. I'm not here as a threat. I'm here to challenge you for that title. And then Drew was like, hey, fighting you would be like fighting my dad. And then he got in his face, and then he shoved him, and then he got in his face again, kind of thing, and then they went off air, and it was like, oh, okay. Why? Please don't give us Goldberg as champion in 2021. Like, if you're going to do the match, just have Drew go over. But you know what they're going to do, brother? Which I'm really worried that they're going to do this. Right? I'm so worried that they're going to do this. Goldberg wins which title is it on Raw? The WWE title? Goldberg wins the WWE title at Royal Rumble. Oh God, Sheamus is going to cost Drew the title against Goldberg. Oh no. Oh no. They're going to do Drew Sheamus at Mania non-title. Goldberg's going to win the WWE Championship. Goldberg, then, will challenge Roman Reigns to title versus title at WrestleMania. It's 2021. Happy New Year, everybody. Maybe a 5 or a 6 out of 10 show. The match quality was fine. There were a couple things, like I said, where I was like, okay, yeah, this is good. But then after that, it's all, this is okay. This is acceptable. This is not ideal. This is not good. Hulk Hogan and Goldberg, fucking garbage. Just complete and utter garbage. No other way around it. So yeah, maybe a 5 or a 6 out of 10 show. Oh man, Goldberg. I'm tempted to give the show a 0 out of 10 just for having Goldberg be a WWE title contender in 2021, man. 2021, man. What, Drew wasn't, Fiend wasn't enough? Kevin Owens wasn't enough? You have to bury another top up-and-coming guy, and then you wonder why people don't watch your fucking show? You keep feeding the people who you have at your disposal right now, who have the talent to be your top stars. You keep feeding them to dudes who are fucking 50 and 60 and whatever. Like, fucking leave it alone, Vince. Like, this isn't even me being like meme mad and trying to be funny with how I criticize it like I try and be sometimes. This is just me genuinely fucking pissed off. Why? Nobody fucking wants it. It's 2021. It's not the 90s. The 90s were 30 goddamn years ago. Nobody fucking wants Goldberg. Fuck off. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments. If this is the first thing that you're watching from me and you want to check out some of the other stuff I do, I also do gameplay stuff on top of these reviews. So if you want to go check out some of my gameplay series, you can check that out at the end cards at the end of the video. If you guys want to help support me in the channel, you can head on over to my Patreon. The link to it will be the first link in the description. So if you are able to and you would like to contribute to the channel, you could do so there. If not, that's a-okay. Just watching is very, very good. Gives me something to do. I love doing this as a creative outlet. So yeah, follow me on Twitter. Link in the description. We didn't have someone with us today, but please sponsor me, Peace Tea, of course. And yeah, man, be sure to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode, because YouTube likes to zuck your boy and not put my videos in your sub boxes. So by pressing that nice old bell icon, you will get a push notification anytime I do upload, and you'll never have to miss it. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the show. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with me on certain points. Let me know what your overall thoughts are on the show. Let me know what you think about how awful Goldberg is, or maybe if you like Goldberg, and that would be a shame. But yeah, man, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, share it to all your friends, comment down below, all that good shit, and I will see you guys next time.
We are number one.